Welcome to Healing Her Story. And I'm saying that to you,
Thank
Nijmeh.
you.
Welcome to Healing Her Story.
Thank you.
I will tell you, and I will tell those of you who are watching, we haven't done a Healing Her Story in months, maybe since the fall, maybe since the summer of no fall. I think I did something in fall 2022. And healing her story is really something that I created where I really looked at the resiliency, the strength, the power, how we have trauma, carry trauma, have an experience, and then we come back from it. And not only do we come back from it, we come back strong. We come back and we build businesses. We come back and we heal other women or people or communities. We come back and we create grants. We come back and we bring the people with us. We have property and investments. We come back and heal children. We come back and we change lives. And so healing her story is about the magnificence of the medicine that we carry, and that no one thing, no one group, no one anybody can diminish your light, no matter what happens to us. So when you and I met, I had in my mind, I found out like your background and you told me your story. I was like, you have to come and do a Healing Her Story. And I don't pay a lot of attention to a lot of like, it's this month, it's that month. I do, and then I don't, right?
Yeah.
Um, but for International Women's Month, I was like, you are it.
Oh my God.
And your story needs to be heard. It needs to be received. I i want to I'm just seeing if anybody is in here. I really want to encourage those who are in the group. If if you need to if you need a comeback inspiration story, this is it. Right? Yours is it.
Thank
And
you, Joe.
you
What's interesting is I've never shared my story before.
mm, ah
I've never shared my story before. And what's really interesting is I was talking to someone yesterday and I thought to myself, I really don't want to like tell people my story. And because it's just like, it's not, I don't like to be a downer, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And and it's like, yeah, you know what? I've had a journey, and so I've been contemplating on how I want to share my story. And here I am. There is no, it's here, it's now, and you brought it forth. And so I guess the universe, God, goddess, whatever you want to say, is saying there's no preparation time. Now is the time because Jill has called you forward.
I,
But it's the best way, right?
yes,
Because I'm such an in moment person. I'm all about being in the moment and I'm so organic. And so
yeah,
if you have me prepare, I get into my mind
yeah,
and then it doesn't turn out how it's meant to be.
yes.
And so this is perfect.
Okay, okay, great. Because I was like, Oh, 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 that's what healing her story is about. So what I want to do before we get into your story, and you're sharing with us because you are sharing your gifts. I want to share that we are moving into, for those of you who do not know, we are moving into Black Women's History Month. Didn't know it existed, didn't know, but we are moving in, and I am going to be sharing some, we're putting in some extra circles. So I want to make sure that everyone knows about the circles. Like, be on the lookout on Thursday evenings. We're going to have some extra healing circles this month. And also, I have sneakily created a soulpreneur group, a spiritual group, a spiritual business group for those of us who are heart driven, have, service mission driven businesses, and you need support. So I'm going to put some information a little bit later in the group about the soulpreneur inner circle that we've started. And if anyone is interested, you can contact me. There's going to be a link to apply, but it's a small group of us who have spiritual businesses, and I will be guiding and supporting. It is a small 6-month program to support you. I also want to share, while we're at the beginning, for anyone who doesn't stay on and doesn't come back, that our guest, I call her Star, also known as Nijmeh, which means star, um, has a healing summit coming up. So you need to know that, because she is going to invite us. She is going to give us the information, but I want you to be able to come back to the replay and catch the information. And I will also be putting the links in the group so that anyone who is interested in the summit, it is a healing summit. She's going to talk more about it. But it is a healing. Is it 30 days?
Well, it was going to be 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so it might go a little bit longer than 2 weeks, because there has been so many amazing speakers that have shown up, and you being one of them. And you were the first person that showed up. And I was just thinking about this, but so it's a little bit over 2 weeks, and it's called 2023 Manifestation Secrets. And so it's a panel of about between 30 and 40 women who share their expertise and their knowledge of different ways to manifest. And really, it's organic conversations that are really in feminine energy, very organic, very flowy, and very transformative and powerful, as I have gone through this for me. So I can't wait to see how this can impact and change your life as well, if you choose to participate.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And we'll be sharing more about this, as well as going forward. I will be dropping the link in the group for those who are interested in elevated conversation, because this will be an elevated conversation around the station. So I want to ask you a question. And speaking of organic conversation,
you can ask me anything, Joe.
Um, I want us to get started with a question that has been on my mind.
Yes.
And, kind of like just an icebreaker for all of us. As I consider myself a conduit, a guide, a channel for the women who come to me. Sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes we are challenged in woman to woman relationships that we have. Sometimes our female relationships can really be challenging within our families. And so, my question that I've been contemplating is, what am I my sister's keeper? And what does that mean? What does that really mean? So, are you your sister's keeper? And if so, what does that mean? And if not, why not?
Right. So like for me personally, before you can be someone else's keeper, you have to be your own keeper. And it really and this really kind of like is a deep, you really are hitting it like straight to the core today, like you hold no punches. And I I'm in a course that the person is encourage us to be kinder to other people. And for the first time, actually, I was like, I do not agree with you. I absolutely do not agree with you. And because you can't give something to someone you don't have. So first, you have to heal what's within you. And there's wounds. Like for me, it came from like growing up with a mother that was abusive, who was generationally abusive. So it's like if my inner child doesn't even feel safe, it's like, how can I hold someone else's inner child? So the work really starts from within. You have to, and I can say, like, I will just say have to because, like, it's a choice. But
Yes.
if you want to do this, you have to love yourself first. You have to go in and do the healing. And you can only love your sister or be your sister's keeper to the level that you are holding this space for yourself and how deep you have healed yourself. So that's my perspective on that.
Yeah. I I was like, as we were talking, I was like, this is why I like her. This is why, this is it. This is why we connected. So let's get on. I just told somebody, I said, we were having a conversation about kindness, not about sister's keeper, right?
Yeah.
And it is one of those things, it's one of those golden rules that I don't consider myself to be. Nor do I consider myself to be nice. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't consider myself to be nice.
Yeah.
And I don't see it as an insult. I'm not criticizing myself.
Right.
I'm just being I'm just being real.
Yes.
And I recall I had a situation with someone and I needed to speak to them. And I asked them to come out of the room so that we could have just a 5-minute one-on-one conversation. And the person started off with, I think you're really nice, and I cut them off and I said, that's where you've made your mistake. I'm not nice.
Right.
Right? Like that's the problem. Okay, got it. You think I'm nice. And that's when we walked in the door, that's the issue that we have. You think I'm nice, you probably think I'm kind, and therefore you think I'm weak. And you think I'm a sheep, and
Oh,
you
wow.
are coming, you're coming for me, and I'm just here to let you know that I'm not a sheep, I'm not a victim, I am not nice and I am not kind. And this is the problem, right? So when it comes to being my sister's keeper, if there's no reciprocity inside of that framework, there still needs to be reciprocity. Like everything that you said, we have to tap into the wellness that is us, right? Fill our tank, right? Fill it to overflow. We who do this work, we understand that. And then when we're giving from our overflow, we give from our excess, right? We
Yeah,
give from there. So when we're doing that, in order for us to maintain that flow, there needs to be some reciprocity.
totally. Um, 100% agree with you. I have no interest in, like, I will be kind to people. However, I'm not going to pour into you if there's nothing else being poured back into me. There's one thing to like be kind and like this person is hurting. Like, I'm very generous with my energy and my time.
Yeah,
That we're not talking about that.
right.
We're talking about like pouring into something that is dry.
Yeah,
And so with energy, you're really right there with me as far as, because I'm contemplating all these things and me and Jill haven't talked. And
yeah,
so the fact that she's really pushing my edge, and I'm thinking, I'm just thinking about these, I'm contemplating these ideas in my head. And based on my experience of life, and what I realized is no, you have to have reciprocity because the magic happens in that. And then the magic overflows outside to what you're creating. It's kind of like a leak when
mm,
there's no reciprocity.
yeah,
And so you have to pay attention to those leaks because you're on a mission and you're going somewhere, right? And if there's a leak in your boat, you're gonna need to patch it up or you're gonna sink.
yeah, yeah. You got to patch it up and fortify it, right? That leak is a boundary that's collapsed somewhere. And just like how you're speaking in metaphor when you said, you know, pouring into a container that's dry. And the vision that I was having, the image that I was having was like when you pour into something that's dry, it it takes a minute. It keeps like taking the liquid. It keeps taking it for a minute before you could actually start to build it. And so
Yeah,
I mean, we could talk about this because then there's a whole conversation around women who really truly need sisterly support.
yeah,
And um and I think that that's where both of us like our generosity is activated, you know. I am definitely a generous person, but I have been cultivating my grace, right? Because I actually have like a block around kindness and nice. Like I understand it and I get it, but I have like a block around it in a way. I don't even think it's a block. I shouldn't say it like that. I just know that I don't identify.
yeah, you don't resonate.
Yeah, it doesn't resonate. But thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. It's kind of like, you know, the kindness like that I feel into, it's kind of like kindness for like an inner, like a child. Like they just don't know better. Like, and that's where like that's how I show kindness. It's kind of like, um, you're not going to like be unkind to a child that's like learning how to do something, because that would be like cruel, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how I relate to kindness. So I'm definitely not nice. Like, you know, I'll be kind, but see, niceness is dangerous
Yeah.
because to me it's connected to people pleasing. And so that was a death sentence for me. Been there, done that,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And I almost took my life because I grew up in a culture where women are nice.
Yep.
They please the male, right? The male culture.
Yep.
And and not only that, I'm a Sagittarius. So Sagittariuses kind of say things that other people might find rude, but that's never my intention.
So did we talk about this? Did we talk about that I'm a Sag too?
No,
I'm a
we,
Sag too.
we, we've never talked about this.
Oh my, I'm a Sag. So yeah, we are, yes. Yes, I understand. Yes. And I have been through several cycles of healing this, my right. And it's like, let me just, I think as I've grown in my spirituality, it has really supported, um, it's been the guide for what I say and how I say it, you know. So I
Right.
yes. So I want to get into your story. And first, what I want to say for those of us who are watching, tell us where you're, like, who you are and where you're from, like what your ethnicity is, so people are sitting here going like, so is she where
Yeah. Yeah.
like
So I was born in Lodi, California, in the United States. My mother is Puerto Rican and my dad is Palestinian. I mean, what I know, but he could be like from a different Middle Eastern country. I just don't know. I probably should do the genetic thing to see where I'm really originally from. And so I'm American, Puerto Rican, Palestinian, who lives in Reno, Nevada now.
yes. So you dropped a few seeds in there about growing up in an abusive home, growing
Yeah,
where in a culture where the women are nice and how dangerous that is. So I want to just give you free space right now to share with us your story, your healing story, um, and just where you are now. And I might ask a question or two, but the stage, the mic is, it's all yours, Star.
oh my goodness. Okay, so basically I I mean, childhood is the childhood, right? And I'm trying to like go chronologically here, but where I guess I would like to start is my life is nothing what it looked like it was going to turn out to be. And it's been a journey of me constantly going back to connecting with myself to be the person that I'm here to be. So at age, well, it started a little bit younger. So basically I grew up in a culture or like a family, maybe not a whole culture, but this is how I saw the whole culture. But I'm pretty sure like there's other Middle Eastern people that don't live like my family. And but so puberty and sexuality is a very sensitive issue when it comes to a woman in my culture, at least my family. And when I started to become a teenager and I hit puberty, that's when hell broke loose. Basically, I started my period and it was time to pull me out of school. I was probably in the 8th grade. Uh, I was very innocent and naive, and my environment was very controlled. I was dropped off or picked up from school. I wasn't allowed to be in sports. I wasn't allowed to sleep over. I was allowed to hang out with one of my neighbor friends, but it was like very, there couldn't be any boys there. There couldn't be a way that the whole thing is we do not want her to get pregnant. And I'm thinking to myself, I just kind of like, I love learning. I love education. I've always loved school. And I found my parents pulling me out of school at 15, 16, and where a decision had to be made to send me to the Middle East. And I thought I was gonna go, like I was gonna go to school, right? Like, and I did go to school. And so it was very unconventional in that there was only one school in the Middle East, which is in Ramallah, which is about 35, 40 minutes from Jerusalem. And it was an English speaking school, like where American Arab kids could go to school and learn, because we didn't know how to speak Arabic fluently, so we couldn't go to the Arabic schools. And so this school was a Quaker, so to speak, school, and it was a boys and girls school. And this was like during the Gulf War, actually. And I went to school there. I lived with my grandparents, and I was really happy to be there in a way, because it cut the fighting off between me and my parents, because they were all, like, my mom was always like, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, your dad's not going to let you. Like, if you did anything wrong, your dad will kill you.
Yeah. And you were how old?
I was like 15 and a half, 16,
Okay.
7th, 8th grade, like freshman year was like when I got sent back.
Okay.
And before that, I was ready to graduate, and I called my mom, because like back then there was like no phones, like cell phones. You had to go to like the phone company or whatever. Like there's this like a building where you can go make phone calls.
Right. A call center. You had to go to a call center.
Call center, yeah. And so I go to this call center and I call my mom and I'm like, hey mom, like I'm about to graduate. I want to go to college in America. And she's like, your dad's not going to let you come back until you get married. And I think I hung up the phone and like went into like a depression spiral. And I think at that time I decided to take my life. And not too later after that, like I remember like usually like my grandparents went down, they like walked or drove to their friend's house in the middle of the afternoon. It's the Mediterranean, like they eat breakfast, they clean, they organize, and then it's lunchtime. They take their naps after lunch, And then now they're going to go socialize and drink tea and coffee and biscuits with their friends. And I was left home alone. And I thought, I can die before they come back. Like, this is like my thinking. And when I think about it today, I think, like, God, like, what possessed me to do that? And it was like, I felt like there was no hope and no way out. And not only that, I was like a virgin. I had never slept with a guy. And to think that I had to, like, to me, my sexuality, like who I am, is everything. And to not be able to choose my partner
Yeah.
and be forced to be with a man that I don't get to date, I don't get to know, I don't get to see if this is the divine choice for me, number one.
Right.
And so I try to take my own life, and I'm laying on the couch, and my neighbor comes over. She literally, like, I don't even know what brought her to the house. Like, me and her weren't like best friends or anything. And she shows up and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like laying on the couch and I'm like, "I took this bottle of pills, like this whole bottle of pills." And I guess I must have been like woozy or dizzy or whatever, but she ended up getting a cab and they took me to a hospital and revived me, like brought me back to life. And so there was a lot that wasn't talked about. It's not like I wanted to talk about it. I went back to school, and I remember having like all these bruises on my arms, and it wasn't discussed. And soon enough, I finally surrendered and agreed to get married, because I was like, if I'm going to get out of this country, because I didn't really see my destiny in the Middle East. I have always known that I've always had a good idea of like who I am and where where my life is going, and it didn't agree with my family. It was like, this child is opposite of everything that we think she is,
Yeah.
or who she should be.
Yeah.
And it's been like that the whole time. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this today. I
It's
was
not,
like,
it's actually gotten worse, probably,
yeah,
right?
it's getting worse.
Yes.
Because now I want to liberate the whole world. When you were like saying, we're women who do this and that, and it's like, no, this stuff is global. Okay, like it's become so important for me, for women to be connected to who they are and to be self-expressed, that however that wants to express itself, like to discover what that is and to be that person and to have all the things. Like, it's the be do have. It's like, what do you want? Because you get to have it. And that's not what I was being told. And so, but I was very rebellious. It wasn't like I was very rebellious and very outspoken. And I didn't care who you were. And I've had to learn a lot of emotional intelligence. I'm still having to learn this because I am like off the cuff. I'm just like, this is how I see it. And, not everybody can digest that. They need it like a little bit softer or smoother. They need to explain the kindness. And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't have the patience for that. But that's another like Sagittarius thing, because it's just like, boom. And so, anyways, I get married, and I remember feeling like so depressed. And I married this guy who was American Arab. He had been in the United States his whole life, basically. And this is kind of common where the man can be living in America and living a lifestyle with a girlfriend, has children, but in the culture, it's like he can come and marry a woman who hasn't been married, she's a virgin. Basically, the woman has to be a virgin, but the man can do whatever he wants.
Right.
And so this man, his mom wanted him to marry an Arabic woman.
Mm.
And he had a woman here in America and a child, and had broken up with this woman and was coming to the Middle East to get married. And I agreed to marry because he was American, plus I was American. I was like, okay, well, I can't marry like a total Arabic guy because I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. I'll never get out of here. And so I was like, I'll agree to him.
Okay.
You know, we had the engagement, the wedding, it's like a whole entourage thing. And he left, came back to the United States to go to work. At that time, it's in Los Angeles, basically the business is. And I stayed in the Middle East because I hadn't graduated high school yet.
I'm
And
so triggered.
are you?
This, but I mean, we need to hear this. Are you okay? Do we need to
Yeah, yeah, because
Yes.
because I'm like on a whole different, like I'm so not triggered because I don't know. Like again, this is the first time I'm sharing my story. And generally, I'm so glad that you brought it forth because I have this connection with you that I feel good, and so, but yeah, like, and generally I don't know how to tell people my story, because it's like, so I never want to bring them down, and
Because we take care of people,
what, yeah, exactly.
right? So
Yeah,
we're taking care of people.
yeah. And so here I am, I get married, I decide, like, I'm almost graduating, and like from 12th grade, and I have to drink some water.
Yes, take a moment.
And I come to America with this stranger man that is my husband. And I, again, have never been with a man. I don't really know a whole lot. I mean, like, I'm like a child in a woman's body, if you want to call me a woman at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, 12th grade is like, it's like pure innocence. And I find out my husband's a drug addict. And he's been a drug addict since he was like 15. He was like 27 at that point.
Did you see him using, and that's how you found out, or?
No, I don't even know what's going on. I'm this little girl who I'm making, like, I'm very traditional, like I'm making him dinners because it's like, also there's a psychology that goes on. Like, I'm talking from this perspective where that psychology, I'm sure there's still remnants there, but you got to understand the psychology of a woman is a property of a man. And so I was thinking also the other day, my dowry, I think, was like 10 grand.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, I've made 10 grand in one day in my life. I've made 10 grand a month. I've made over 10 grand a month. And I think to myself, like, seriously, my life was worth $10,000?
That they had to pay, because in this culture, they had to the male family paid your family.
Well, they buy jewelry, which I left there. I left it because I didn't even want it. I would not even receive the gift, like the jewelry. I was like, this is not my wedding. This is, and not only that, it's really kind of like, I've never really talked about this, and I want to say the right words, you know. Um, it's kind of like a gift, like what the woman's worth. It's kind of like, this is how much we see your worth as. And I thought, at that time, I didn't accept, like, I mean, of course I wore it for the wedding, but I gave it to his mom after the wedding was over. I was like,
Okay.
you just save this here.
Yeah.
And it's like I wouldn't accept that that was my marriage, because it wasn't. It was something that I had to accept in order not to die. Because see, the whole thing is if I decided that I wanted to date a man that could be a match for me, that was not possible without losing your life, uh, if you did find love. So I
Yeah.
was like, I have to go this path in order to gain my freedom. And so he turns out to be a drug addict. I'm I'm living in Anaheim Hills, California, and he's coming home like late. Like when I say late, like 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. And I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong? Like, why is he coming home this late? Uh, there was like different signs, different things that he was doing. And I'd make him dinner, he wouldn't eat. I'd take him dinner to his work, he wouldn't eat it. He was gone overnight, not showing up until the early morning. And I was alone. Like I didn't have family. Like my family basically, I was upset with them, number one. I never wanted to talk to them ever again. And I'm living in this, first of all, we were living with his brother until they got like this other property ready, the condo ready. And then I was really isolated. And so he would like go to work, wouldn't come home. They have like uh family business, like a liquor business, like a Ben's liquor, you know, like a fancy liquor store. And I just was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, why doesn't he eat? And why, what, like, I would worry about him that he got into an accident, you know, because he's not coming home and he's not answering my calls. And I'm like, they're going to blame me because I was a bad wife. And like, my thinking was so different back then. It was like that Middle Eastern woman who's responsible for everything that her husband does. And if something happens to him, it's going to be my fault. So I better like be on the ball. Finally, this is how I found out he was using. I still didn't know. Like I never had drugs. I never been around it. Uh, I didn't grow up in a home that there was even alcohol. So this was like foreign to me. Like, number one, being married to a family where there was like, they sold alcohol. And I would say, at that time when I was like with him, like there has to be like this moral code within me that like I would go to his work and I would say, like, what are you doing selling all this poison to people? And and I thought to myself, now that I look back at it from like how I've evolved, that must have sounded crazy to him.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, I viewed that as demoralizing to people. Like, how can you sell them this stuff that's going to kill them? Like, I had to care about people even before I awakened later. Like, I have this passion about people, and I didn't really know it. I would just like go off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it through my head. I was like, why do they sell alcohol? And like, I was like, this is all bad. And anyways, so like, he's not coming home. I'm alone. Like, I don't have any family. I don't have any friends. I don't have a car. I'm in this condo 24/7 alone. I'm in America.
Yeah.
Now that I was in the Middle East, I have a Middle Eastern culture, so I'm scared. Like, I don't know how to connect to the Western culture. And so, like, one night I'm sleeping, and this is like, trying to think, maybe 9 months into the marriage. He comes home, wakes me up, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, how sweet. My husband brought me a gift. I'm so like naive, like, but it's natural, right? He's like, I have a gift for you. He tells me, wake up, I have a gift for you. And I'm like, oh, that's nice, like, so I wake up and, he takes me downstairs. It's like a 2-bedroom condo, stairs go down to the bottom, living room, whatnot. He pulls out the drugs and he begins to show me how to use them. Then he pulls out all his sexual perversions, if you will, from his pornography to his toys to all these things that, again, I'm not very familiar with sexuality. And to even actually know that people are sleeping together, that on all those levels that pornography offers.
And it wasn't like your mother prepared you, right?
No,
Talked
it
to you
was like,
about it and said, hey,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
And so I'm like, what the hell is this? Anyways, 2 years of being in that, I couldn't talk. Like, I literally didn't know how to speak anymore. I was so traumatized. But again, in obedience to my husband, I will do whatever he says I have to do. Like, I can't question his authority. That's how I believed. And if I like it, it's like, you don't question a man's authority. You don't question your husband's authority. He rules.
Programmed, right?
Programmed.
Yeah.
Programmed. And 2 years after that, I got into, I was like, hey, I need to go to therapy. So I go to therapy and they say, you are a drug addict. And I said, okay. And they said, you have to go to, I was like, they took no cultural background, nothing. They said, you have to go get recovery. And I was like, okay. They said, well, we need you to see psychiatrists. I said, okay. Within that day, the day that they told me I was a drug addict, I was done. I was like, I'm a drug addict. Okay, let's see. Quit. And I was like, my husband is a drug addict and he's giving me the drugs so he can have, I don't know, a partner to join him, you know? And so when I started going to like a 12-step program, they were like, okay, you have to believe in a God and, you know, surrender. I'm like, okay. And they're like, you have to go back to your Muslim culture. And I was like, oh no.
They
I was like,
told you this is the 12-step program to go back to your Muslim culture. Okay.
yeah, to your original form of God.
Okay.
And so I was like, I was desperate. Okay. I was like, I'm living with a man who is using, he's using drugs. He's not coming home. He's, God knows what he's doing. I found out later, like the things that he was involved in. And I was like, I'll try. Because basically, I got to another point where I was going to commit suicide. This is like my second suicide. And so I go, okay, well, I'm going to try what you guys say about this 12-step program. If like God ain't real, I'm fucking done. Like, I'm like, I looked at my whole life as a child up until that point, and I was like, it's all been bad. And I was like, I've done nothing to deserve this. Like, when I looked back to check, where could have caused this scenario? And I couldn't freaking find one. And I was like, you know what? This life fucking sucks. Like, your God better work or else I'm checking out. And so I was like, I'll take your suggestion. I will connect with a God. And so what I did is I started praying.
Mm.
And I said, God, if you don't show up, I'm done. And what happened is God showed up.
Yeah.
And that altered my whole perspective. I awakened to who I am, truly not who they say a woman is, but personal knowing. And like in that presence, I began like healing and crying and getting revelation and things that I was like, surely you chose the wrong person. Because I was like, I'm a Middle Eastern woman. I'm still in my arranged marriage. And I'm having these awakenings of who I am. And it's like, it looks so different from who I was raised to be and who I was told to be and who I had to be in order to survive.
So just for clarity,
Yeah.
you said God showed up and then you were having an awakening. What did this look like? You were praying and then you were having spiritual downloads, you were having dreams, you were having urges, you were like all of a sudden having, like the inner voice was sharing with you who you are.
Yeah, it was like I would talk to it.
Yeah. And receive answers. You were receiving.
I was receiving. And the more that I asked, the more I would receive.
Yeah.
And I was scared. Like, okay, so what happened is I went into this portal of pure, unconditional, intoxicating, blissful love, which started melting my walls. And I was in this bliss, and I was like becoming this person that could see things on people, like their limiting beliefs, like energy. And, I was like, but I still wasn't, I didn't know I was in the water yet, like, because I was like, I'm going to try this thing that they told me. And I'm becoming mesmerized by this presence that I'm seeing, this light that keeps pulling me in, because I'm going and praying and it keeps pulling me in. And I don't even realize how deep I am, because I'm just living my life. I'm like going to meetings, I'm doing the steps, I'm connecting with my higher power. And one day, my dad calls me on the phone and he says, "We heard you're getting a divorce." And I said, "Well, who told you that?" And he said, "Well, your husband's family called us. They said they want a divorce." And I said, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Can I call you back?" Because at that time I had awakened. And I was like, even though I hadn't broken out and had my own personal power, I knew that I had changed. I had become a different woman by going to these meetings and awakening to who I truly am. And before I knew it, they were at my door, like at 4 a.m. in the morning, knocking on my door. And I said to God, if it is your will for me to die, I will die.
So, Nijmeh, just explain here, because basically a divorce means death, right?
Well, it's like dishonoring the family, right? Like if a woman has sex out of marriage, it's like, and I hate to say this, because it's so toxic and horrible, but basically gives her family the right to kill her if she has sex out of wedlock, out of marriage.
Yeah.
And
So who was that
so
for? Your family or his family?
my family, because it's like dishonoring your dad,
Okay.
the patrilineal.
Okay.
And yeah. And so he shows up with two of my other brothers at 4 o'clock at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I wake up and I'm like thinking, if they kill me in this apartment, no one will ever know. A life gone, no one will know the story, no one will know like anything. And what I realized in that moment is I wasn't afraid of death. When they were standing in my, yeah, I was scared as a human, but my soul, the voice that came up was, I was afraid to die, and what with my message inside of me, because I felt like I was betraying God. Like, because God had revealed all this information to me, and a knowing of who I was, and not only the knowing of who I was, the knowing of every single human being. And I was like, if they see my light, they might try to take my life because of my power. So I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to go back to that naive girl who's obedient, who doesn't know anything, and pretend like, go back to that version of me. Because if they see this woman that's in her power, that ain't going to fly. And so at least that's what I believed. I mean, it could have been different, but that's what I believed at the time. And so I made a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I shut that connection. And they went to my husband's business. They were like, well, where's your husband at? They were like, if it's your fault, we're going to take care of you. And I was like, it's not my fault. And they talked to my husband. My husband was like, yeah, I've been a drug addict since I was 15. Because basically they wanted a divorce because I didn't have any children. And I said, I will never have children with you. I said, you've tortured me enough. I would never bring an innocent. It's interesting. It's like what I tolerated for myself. The thought of bringing a child into that was like not going to happen. And that's when, his mother came and asked me, like, you haven't had any children. And I was like, I'm not having children with him. I didn't tell her why. But so, probably right now he's married with children because after I got a divorce, they took him to marry another innocent virgin girl, you know, and I went on. Uh, I had nowhere to go. I didn't have an education. I didn't have a job. I was really like raised to rely on a man and for a man to take care of me. Really, I was bred to have children and be a man's
Yeah.
wife, not a person who goes on to have a life and a business and an education. And I mean, so that's like, I mean, my story could go on for days, but what I want to say is this. I had to really rely on my connection, even though I didn't understand what had happened. Because even when I awakened to what I say my divinity, it was ego boggling because it's like who we think we are is not even close. Right? And so, fast forward, like I got a divorce. My family, like I went to live with my family. I had changed. And so I wouldn't tolerate the physical abuse that was going on, that I was witnessing in my brother's life with his wife. And so they kicked me out onto the street because I was like, you're not going to hit her. And he was like, get out. And I was like, okay. I left, was homeless. I did have the 12 steps. I asked someone at the 12 steps to allow me to live with them, and they did. And I started my journey. I lived in it's crazy because I never think about this stuff until I'm talking today, but I lived in a broken down, abandoned trailer. But like I really didn't care because I had my freedom for the first time. I was free from all of that. And I began working. And I had to even learn how to rent an apartment because I've never rented an apartment. And like that concept was so foreign to me. Like, how do you rent an apartment? And then, like I was able to buy a car. And then, of course, education had always been important to me. So, like, I was going to school, I was educating myself and dating and just living and kind of overcoming this trauma. And by the time I left them, I was 27, like about 20. Yeah. And kept taking classes, and I thought I wanted to be different things along the way. And finally I decided I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
And because I felt like, how can I best serve humanity?
Yeah.
And medicine seemed to be like the way. I had gone to therapy, I had done this, that. Then I went to this college here in Reno, and it was like so conventional. I was like, wanted to choke. I was like, I'm never going to college if this is what school is about. Because I had freed myself to be who I am by doing so much work, like doing all the things, being myself and being in my power, like away from my family. I didn't talk to my family for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never want to go to college if this is what it's about. So I applied to this college up in Lake Tahoe. And so they call me and they say, hey, we want to invite you to come to our college. This is like a private college. It's 55 grand a year. And we want to offer you the presidential scholarship based on your academic achievement. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, like, let me go check out this college. So I'm driving up there and I'm like, oh my God, this place is like heaven. Like, you go over the hills and then like you're overlooking the lake. It's in like this, uh, what do you call it? Not the palm trees, but like those pine trees. It's pine trees, forest on a lake, just majestic, gorgeous. And it was like a perfect fit. And because I'm such a free spirit, if you will, and uh, and this school was like a liberal arts college, so there is no like, there's a lot of room to like philosophize, if you will, because like I love to philosophize. We're Sagittarius, like I have no problem having a discussion or a debate with anybody, because at the bottom of everything, I want to know the truth. Like, can we evolve to the next level of consciousness by having a dialogue where we're not threatened, where I don't have to watch how I'm saying something to you, but you know that because I love you, I'm coming from a pure place, so there's no threat. See, when you actually are in a space of love, no matter what anybody says, you're not threatened. And so if someone is threatened, they're really not in love. Like, they're not in the space of love when you to ask them, like, well, why is it that people do that? Right? So what I've learned is, let me step back a little bit. So I go to this college, I get the presidential scholarship. The entire time I'm at the college, I just channel my papers.
And I know what that is. I know. Spiritual and a Sag, you are channeling. You are like,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in organic chemistry, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to fail. And I go to the class and I take one of my classmates with me, and the teacher says, she doesn't need you. He's like, I'm coming with her for support. And my teacher goes, oh, she doesn't need you. And I remember my first grade on my organic chemistry was at 83. I was just happy that I got an 83 and passed. And the next one was like 97. Like, I did this and that. If you ask me to do chemistry right now, I don't think I could do it.
right,
Organic chemistry 1 and 2.
right.
I would channel and download the equations and get an A plus. in my organic chemistry. And I thought to myself, and I thought also I had this, girls were not as smart as boys
Mhm.
because the boy is a valued commodity in the Middle East, right? Like the girl is like a burden.
Right.
And here I was like outdoing the boys in my college in science and in, I was a valedictorian nominee because I had the highest
And never studied, right? And like never studied.
I mean, I wasn't meant to be educated like on that level, right? And after going through that, I realized that I am intelligent on, even though that's one level of intelligence. Like I'm not so ignorant to think that that's the all intelligence. That's just a system of education. However, it showed me that like I wasn't not worthy of being educated. And in fact, I had intelligence in me that I could be whatever I wanted. And then I thought, how many girls do never like have that opportunity? They're just married off, expected to be a wife and have children. And they never realize their potential. How spirit, their oneness, who they are, wants to express itself in this lifetime. And so, like, knowing that like, I can do scholarly work. I've always like been a good student, like as a little girl. I've always loved school. And but environment is very important to me because you put me in a certain environment and I'm like, I'm not doing it. But you put me in the right environment, I'm like, I channel. And so um finished school. I was like gonna apply to medical school. And I was like, you know what? I mean, I thought I wanted to go to medical school. And in reality, it would have been too limiting for me
Mm.
because number one, I would go to the hospital and I'd feel sad for the people. And I was like, I would get sad and cry. It was like, because I want to help them. And then I was like, I can't help them with medicine. And then I was like, okay. And I still wasn't willing to bring up this part of me that I knew that's all healing, all powerful. Like I was like, let me keep her down here. Like I'm too scared because if I become awake to this again, then I have to fulfill my mission and my purpose. And what is that going to look like if I awaken people to their power and their divinity and they can really be all the things and not have to depend on external to create the life of their dreams and be in their gifts and never have to sell their soul to another human being, but to truly have everything within them be manifest from within and out.
So let
And
me ask you now,
yeah,
who are you? Who are you now?
I say, this is what I've been saying. I am that, all that I am. Because the I am presence is something that unfolds within each and every person. And just like it's new to me in the moment, it's new to another person in the moment. So it's like it's a mystery. Really, anybody who tells you like they know who they are, yeah, you know who you are, like that. But as a spirit that's unfolding, you are discovering yourself as you're unfolding as this I am presence. And this I am presence is infinite. So it's like, let me see who I am. I mean, I thought I knew who I was, but the more I do this, the more this unfolds, I'm discovering who I am. So it's never like, and I think that that's, to think that, oh, well, you have arrived. No, you will continue, like, you are infinite consciousness in a body. And so, yeah, so that's my answer to that. And that's why I say I am that, all that I am, because I don't know all that I am yet.
Because it's an infinite unfolding, emerging, becoming,
Yeah.
and it doesn't, it's evolving, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we look at it like we are, like we have to keep healing, we have to keep healing, we have to keep healing. But there's a moment in that journey where there's a shift. And I think when you start to have that I am consciousness awareness,
Yeah.
that shift comes in and you are evolving and evolve, like there's another iteration
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not something that it's like, okay, so, and it's all good, right? It's all the good things. It's like love and it's success and it's abundance and it's like, the kindness and compassion. Basically, it's pure bliss, like an ecstasy to be in that presence. And the energy is heals other people as well. Like that's how my right. No, you can say like, say whatever you want.
No, no, I mean, it's that is, I don't know, I feel like I need to think of, I need to like, that's like, I love to like reflect and think,
Yeah.
and that's a whole meal to unpack.
Yeah.
Because if if you're telling me
Yeah.
all that you've told me and you're telling me who you are, and I come in and I am in your intimate space, and I am not better for being in your intimate space. I'm not taking anything from you.
No.
Not, right? Whatever's happening between us, there needs, I need to be, I need to have learned something. I need to be inspired. I need, right? If you are saying who you say you are, you make all things better. You make all things better. You, just by being you,
Yeah.
just being you, right? Like effortlessly, even in your darkest, saddest moment, even when you're not trying, even when, shit has hit the fan,
Yeah.
right? Even in all of that, then I can come into your space and I can go learn from your lesson, learn from your experience. I can look at you because you are who you say you are, which means you are modeling the infinite, emerging, evolving, awakening, next iteration of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And I
high
feel like,
conversation. If I'm sorry, it's high. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. It's just high conversation, and just join us.
yeah. Yeah. Cause we're going like,
Yeah.
it's definitely headed in that direction. And the fire is just getting stronger and stronger. And, um, I'm just excited for like what's going to unfold. Um, and But I feel like every person has the ability to be that, in their own way.
They are that, right?
Yeah,
We
they
are
are
that.
that.
And it's just a
Are that.
matter of awareness. And for some people, and I forget this, right? I forget this. It's a matter of awareness.
Yeah,
And for some people, it's not their time
yeah,
to be in that level of awareness, that level of consciousness. And so
yes,
I can sometimes forget that. Um, and I forget that about myself too, right? So that's what the graciousness is, that I can
great. Yeah,
extend to me, but also extend to others, and have that compassion after I calm down, right? After somebody cuts me off, and I'm like, okay, wait, I get it. And then there are times when I'm grappling with that too, about the world and in things.
yeah.
Well,
It really is like, you know, it's hard to accept that this was hard for me when I experienced like holy love, if you will. It boggled my mind because like my awakening happened organically. It wasn't like I went to school and like you meditate, this is the cycle of awakening. No. Okay. So I'm thinking like, well, why I would ask, why isn't everybody gonna like know this? Because it's kind of like, how can this love be so intoxicating and blissful, yet not everybody will receive it? And it goes back to exactly what you were saying, like, and what I heard, you know, I don't know if this is like, because see, for me, it was like dialogue, intimate dialogue, direct knowing. And that's what I feel that everyone has the ability to have direct knowing that really hits the spot, right? Like you just know when it's true. And so my human took a long time to accept this. And I still kind of like, you know, want everybody to get it. But the bottom line is this. I asked, well, why me?
uh,
And because that was my dilemma while I was going through my awakening. I was talking to the spirit. I was like saying, okay, well, why me? Why am I chosen to wake up?
yeah,
And the voice said to me, because you chose. And I was like, I chose. And I chose before I chose love. I chose love. And so when you said grace, grace is not something that I actually knew until I awakened. And I was like, because how I came to grace, it was like, it's not about, see, because I was raised, it's all about what you do to receive God's approval. What I was shown is actually like take it up another level. Like this is okay, a certain belief and consciousness that we're brainwashed with, but take it up another level where like the truth is, and basically we get to receive unconditionally, like whatever it is that we want. Because I was like, um, basically what was downloaded to me is whatever's mine, whatever God has is mine.
Yes.
So there's nothing about worth. There's nothing about you doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. Yeah, there's like laws. There's like a lot of things that I didn't receive in that channel, in that download. However, we have a right to receive everything. Like, so our,
Birthright.
what's that?
It's our birthright.
It's our birthright. It's one with us. It's like we are success. Like we hold that vibration. Like we are wealth. We are joy. We are everything that we want.
We need we need to I'm just like, because we need to come back and continue this.
Yeah.
We need to come back and continue this, because this is like this is a teaching, right? And it's more than a this is more than a teaching. This is a transformational.
Yeah.
This is it. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and I'm feeling like it might be connected to just what you were saying. I wanted to ask you, because you have a summit that is coming up,
Yeah.
and I want us to be able. We'll close with that, but you intro how I came to know you is star manifestation, right? And can you share? Is that the secret? Star, is that the secret, that we are that? Can you share something, like, can you share a secret? Can you share like, how do we manifest the thing that we want? Like one mindset, one shift that we
I
can
got
do.
it for you.
Okay, got it. Yes.
So the secret to having anything you want isn't knowing that you already have it. You know it's yours, right? It's not like when you have a knowing, you don't question it.
Yeah.
You don't question your knowings. I'm sure you've had many knowings.
Yeah.
And you just go with it and they pay off.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's for me the strongest one, like, okay, feel like you feel like you have it. Well, what if you never had it? Well, you go to your what I call, like, because I've had to change this language into bite-sized pieces for people to get, right? And it's like my latest one that I have is I connect. I am one with the version of me. I feel into the version of me who unconditionally is unconditionally in love, or unconditionally successful, unconditionally believes. Because if we have a higher self, an identity, who is always in this space, which in presence.
Mm-hmm.
So if we energetically connect to her, we are one with her. So the feeling connects us to her, which is unconditional space. And then you put your unconditional success. So she already knows, she's already experiencing success unconditionally. We put conditions.
Yeah.
So it's faster. It's just like bypassing, because like there's a lot of things that it's a lot easier if you just connect with that part of you who already has the answer.
Yeah.
Right? Who downloads, channels the information, and then you just follow. Your body doesn't lie. Your body will lead you to the right people to do the right things. Your mind will give you the information. So it's a different way of manifesting.
And it really calls you to have to trust yourself.
Yes.
And um yeah, I'm kind of almost rolling my eyes at it because it's the sometimes that you think like, okay, that intuition, I trust myself, and then something happens and you have the feeling and you knew it, and you're like, I knew I should have, I knew I should have. And all it is really is time to trust yourself even more,
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah.
So I made I want to correct something.
Yeah.
What do you do? We came in because I was talking about something else, and then we jumped into, your story and just us having this dialogue. So
Yeah.
would you just let us know, like, what do you do? Who do you do it for? And then I want to hear about the summit and when that's happening, and how can we support your summit. So,
Yeah.
what do you do and who do you do it for?
So I I so do not like titles because it's kind of like, how do you put me in a box? Right. And so I thought, okay, I mean, I'm a mentor and coach who helps people awaken and really become enlightened to who they are and embody basically self actualization. I'm a self actualization mentor coach. And I surrendered to that position after many years of running from it because it scared the heck out of me. But if that's a title, that's the title I give myself, self actualization mentor coach.
Got it. And who do you serve? If I could use that, who do you work
It's
with?
really women at like it's been both women and men,
Okay.
but it's people who actually I'm excited about, to be honest. Like it's kind of like that conversation that you said, if you pour into the dry one, you know, I know that I want to have an amazing life as well. So it's like the clients that I love to work with are the clients that are excited about me as I am about them.
Yes.
Because it's a win-win both ways. Like I see your power, you see my power, but we are admiring the beauty, right? We're admiring the beauty of each other without a threat.
Yes.
And when you evolve and grow and become more self-actualized
Yes.
according to your personal expression and your light, your facets of the diamond, your ruby, your emerald is going to look different than mine.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So you have a summit that is coming up, and you shared some about in the very beginning what it is. When can we join this summit?
So I'm actually in my last four speakers. And so I'm thinking about late April.
Okay.
There's a lot of still like, things that have to be organized.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have about four more speakers in the process. And but yeah, it's it's gonna be so much fun and so spectacular and so eye-opening and so organic. And I wanted it to be that way because I wanted not only to like allow people uh, to have this information, but also to see the humanness in all of it. Because today on social media, everything is like beautiful and it's perfect and it's curated and it really, I feel, stifles the people that actually want to do something because it doesn't look perfect according to how other people say it needs to look. And
Yeah.
so you will see like very organic conversations. You will see me with some days coming home from my workouts, doing interviews. Some days I look better, but I wanted to give like the whole 360 picture of that you get to be who you are in the moment as you're evolving and still be successful. Whatever that looks like, you get to show up as you
Yes.
and it be good enough.
I love that. I love that. So I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
Can you share with the women who watch the replay? I can't tell who's on now because my phone is dying.
It's
Um,
fine.
but can you just share those who are looking, seeking, wanting a way to get out, right? Find their freedom, right? And that could be get out, that could be get out of a mindset, that could be get out of a relationship, that could be get out of who they currently are and into their next
Yeah.
life. I want to say like you have you have that, you got the get out vibe, right? To step into your power, which really is stepping into your freedom.
Yeah.
um what would you say to those women who are watching?
Like, you know, I would say, like, watch things like this, like, be around this energy because we are force, we are moving, and we are holding space for consciousness to be present, for freedom, for liberation, for your personal self expression the way it's always meant to be. And also, I would say, you do the work. Like you have to do the work and you have to be courageous and um invest in yourself, right? And if you can't invest in yourself, you watch these things that are free because my summit is free. Like there is no charge. It will have a price tag later. However, it's going to be free for about 3 weeks. It's open to the public. And there's one more thing that I wanted to say, and it slipped my mind as I was talking, but it's like, be vulnerable, like with other women who, like, don't stage your, like, just be yourself. Like, if something wants to come through, know when to be vulnerable and don't feel like you have to hide. So for example, like as I am doing these interviews, generally like I'm doing the interview and I'm interviewing somebody else, right? And I found myself in one circumstance where the person I was interviewing began interviewing me, meaning giving me a session, you know. And if my ego and my arrogance was big, I wouldn't have like rolled into that so smoothly where um I couldn't like move into that position and be receiving from her. And so I guess what I'm saying is like know when to be like the leader and know when to be a follower. because
right? Like water, like like the wave, ride
yeah,
the wave. Sometimes I like to say, but like
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
because
yeah,
other people have gifts for you that you you may be searching for something and don't know how to solve it, but that person has already conquered that area. And so it's easy for them to give that to you. And so
yeah,
it's like, know where you, and it's okay. Like, don't be so like, oh, I'm supposed to be this expert, like, or whatever. Like, just receive and give, breath in, breath out.
mhm,
Receive, no one to receive, no one to give. And let there be no hierarchy because we're all equal with different gifts and talents to sharpen one another.
yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Jill.
Where can people find you? Get in contact with you? What's your social?
They can reach out to me on manifestationstar.com. At I have a IG, Instagram, which I'm not there a lot, but uh, you know, I am in my Facebook group. And generally every day I have a word of the day. And I do show up on my Facebook group every day where I have a message. I also pull a card, like a tarot card, and give guidance on the day. Is to keep our minds sharp and to give you a little taste of me, of what I am like on a daily. And because I feel that's important too.
Yes,
I just like authentic everyday living, showing people that, you know what, if I can do this, so can you.
yes,
And that's why I like, so basically Facebook, and then my website is there too. And but if you really want to reach me, come into my Facebook group, or you can message me too.
okay. What's the Facebook group?
It's Manifestation Star.
Manifestation Star.
It's all like the same.
It's all across the, okay. So we can find you at Manifestation Star on IG, Manifestation Star Facebook group, manifestationstar.com, Manifestation Star, Star
Yeah.
Manifestation. I, you know, you are you are amazing. You are a gem. You, I get lit up in the presence of your name when I've had to talk about you. I am grateful that we were brought together
Me
by
too.
a similar a single energy um,
Yeah.
that supports us both, and I appreciate you and what you are doing. I appreciate you and what you're doing and who you are and what you put out, and just how actualized you are. Actualized you are.
Thank you, Jill. There's no coincidences. And I feel that we were brought together. And I know that our journeys will continue on together. And I can't wait for a day where I actually meet you in person, because that's what I'm manifesting. And thank you for showing up in the way that you did, because it's like when you trust, everything just comes about. You don't have to think about it, right? Like, even though because I trust you and I love you from the agape love, like
Yes,
sister to sister.
yes,
And So like there's nothing that it's just like we connected on day one, right? And I feel that the universe brings people into your life and there's no coincidences. It was automatic for me and you on day one where we talked for hours. And I think it's just gonna continue, the fire's gonna continue to grow. We put some more logs on there
Yeah,
and and so thank you for having me today. I'm glad that I was able to make it. And thank you for opening up the space for me to share my story because I don't think I holding the space as well because I honestly was looking for that to a person that could hold the space because um, I've been asked before and I haven't been able to get it out. And then here you come. And it's like, okay, I can do it here. And so thank you for that. And I can't wait to see what comes up next for us.
I feel the same. You are so welcome. You are so worthy. And I appreciate you coming, not last minute, but kind of like knocking, sooner than earlier. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
you're
Star.
so welcome. Okay.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching the replay. Please put hashtag replay. If you have questions, if you have comments, I'm going to come back in and see you. But thank you, everyone. Thank
Yeah.
you.